Vanderbilt takes down Missouri. Make whatever you would like. Have whatever opinion you will have on the metric that went up during the broadcast, but it was also pretty clear to me going into this matchup that something like this should be the case. ESPN's playoff predictor gave whoever won between Vanderbilt and Missouri a better than 50% chance to make the college football playoff. And the loser, less than 20%. Well, there you go, Vanderbilt. There's your moment. Vanderbilt has arisen. Can we say they have risen from the dead if it feels like they have somehow been sent to somewhere further away from that? They don't feel like a program that has been, a decaying body in a casket underground. It's been way more inaccessible than that. A grave robber can't go and just get to it for my entire life. And all of a sudden, it is a living, breathing entity that is just good at winning football games. Something I've heard get talked about a lot correctly. And it's not the first time, but I feel like there's been an emphasis this year from guys like Joel Klatt. The word answers, or being able to win in multiple ways, has been thrown out a pretty good amount. Tell me how that doesn't apply to Vanderbilt. Yeah, they went on the road and lost to Alabama in a kind of close back and forth game. Okay. Alabama's really good. Kalen DeBoer's figured things out. I still don't understand how they lost to Florida State, who stinks, who completely stinks and might fire Mike Norvell. But Vanderbilt was in a game with Missouri here at home, 3-3 at the half. When you think of Vanderbilt, you might look at Diego Pavia and understand the transformative nature of his aura. And I'm not telling you to ignore that. I'm just telling you, if you didn't watch this game, go back and find a way to watch it. At least watch some extended highlights on YouTube and understand that Vanderbilt is more than just one guy with an incredible story making great plays. Diego Pavia is the face of it. He's Batman, but Alfred is Clark Lee. This is a good football team. It is well-rounded. They play really well on both sides of the ball. They can run it better than you think. Not great, but well enough. There are plenty of SEC teams I think they run the ball better than. Oklahoma comes to mind, for instance. Vanderbilt is a better football team. And it's difficult to wrap your mind around. I hope Vanderbilt at no point suffers from brand bias, anti-brand bias, I should say, the way Indiana did last year when it comes to their seeding or their matchup, or if they were to lose another game, getting them into the college football playoff. Vanderbilt is just straight up a good football team. Missouri has legit weapons. And Vanderbilt just kept them in check. 10 points. 10 points in the football game. That's it. I know that Bo Pribula didn't finish it, but this Vanderbilt defense is real. The offense can be physical when they need to. Pavia is really good. Their offense has got some clever play designs. I just like everything about them. They're an incredibly balanced football team, and they are an incredible story. Unbelievable story. The last 2 years are representative of how the transfer portal specifically, NIL too, but I think the portal more so, has leveled the playing field in college football. Vanderbilt is one of the best teams in the SEC. Get used to it, guys. Sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but they are better than several bigger brands in this conference. That is just an objective fact. And they wouldn't be there if Diego Pavia hadn't been able to transfer in. And Indiana, who shellacked UCLA that had been playing good football, 55-6, I think was the final score in that one. They wouldn't be there if they didn't have their last two quarterbacks that transferred in and a bunch of their roster that transferred in. This is why the college football playing field has leveled out more than it ever has in my lifetime as a college football fan. I'm not saying it's perfectly level. It isn't. It is not. I'm not blind to that reality. It has just balanced. It used to be like this. Now it's like this. For those watching on YouTube, I had my hands really far apart off the screen. Then they came on the screen and they were almost at the same level of the microphone. That's where it's at. And Vanderbilt is an awesome story. I know there was a lot of debate and discussion about especially with some hosts at this very network, which I understand, about whether Vanderbilt should have hosted Game Day. Yes, they absolutely should have. You can point out the SEC bias at ESPN. It's pretty easy to recognize in a number of different ways. But to pretend that Vanderbilt shouldn't have been the Game Day spot this week, no, they should have. They had their moment. They had their opportunity. They rose to it. The highest of vibes for Vanderbilt fans. Bad vibes for Missouri fans. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're just not a great team. So let me pivot to another school that you have to wrap your head around as, college football playoff is possible. It's Washington. Washington dismantled Illinois. The defense for the Illini is just bad. It's just bad. And I don't know what happened to Brett Bielema and the physicality of the Illini, and I don't think Illinois is going to lose another football game. They play Rutgers, Maryland, at Wisconsin, and Northwestern. Northwestern actually looks respectable in this spot, but three of those four final games are at home. I fully expect Illinois to end the year 9-3, one off my regular season prediction for them when the year began. They won't get into the college football playoff because their defense is just simply awful. 34 points to Ohio State, 42 to Washington, 27 to Purdue, 32 to USC, 63 to Indiana. It just isn't there. They are not physical enough. They are not sufficiently well coached, and they just are not good enough on that side of the ball. I think Brett Bielema probably needs to reload at defensive coordinator and try to build on the momentum he's got right now. But Washington has serious momentum. And you talk about favorable schedules. The showdown with Oregon on November 22nd, rivalry week, is shaping up to be another all-timer, and it's in Seattle. Because they play Wisconsin next week, who's lifeless in spite of the way they kind of pushed Oregon today. Oregon did not play particularly well. Wisconsin played better. Wisconsin scored a touchdown for the first time since October 4th. That's not going to happen. Purdue at Husky Stadium. Nope, that's not going to happen. At UCLA. Hey, that could be a classic trap game look-ahead spot for Washington. But those are their next three games. The Huskies are 6-2. Damon Williams is an absolute guy. He had another 280 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ho-hum. I don't know why Jonah Coleman doesn't get the ball more to run. I'm perplexed by that. He leads the nation in rushing touchdowns. He had 14 carries in this game. Why? You can run on Illinois' defense. I don't fully understand that, but it's hard to argue with 42 points against a ranked team. Washington wanted to be ranked when they were 5-1. Michigan put them in their place a bit last week, and then they bounced back and realized their place is indeed inside the top 25. And they will be there when my top 25 comes out, fear not. 42-25. They can be 9-2. Can they make the Big Ten championship game? Maybe not. Maybe not, but a chance against Oregon at home to be 10-2, potentially go to the playoff. If Oregon doesn't lose between now and then, and they could, because they've still got to play Iowa and they've still got to play USC on the road and at home respectively. So maybe Oregon drops one between now and then because they have looked pretty human. They're still really good, but unbeatable? No, absolutely not. If Oregon, though, is a top 10 team and then Washington wins that game and they're 10-2 with a convincing win over number 23 Illinois and a win over a top 10 Oregon team, I don't know how Washington wouldn't get in the playoff at that point. So Vanderbilt and Washington to the playoff. Get used to the idea if you're not already. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.